was sent down before. And what does Quran exactly mean in simple English? Well, it doesn't mean book. The word Bible literally means book, biblios, from Greek. But the word Quran is Arabic, and it means recitation, that which is being recited. And that is how the Quran comes to us today. Because did you know that the Prophet Muhammad, he used to recite it just as he heard it. He heard it from the angel Gabriel, the way that it was to be recited to him, and that he was to pass it on. Now I'm going to take a little break right here, and we're going to come right back and pick up where we left off, talking about these books. Stay right there. We'll be right back. What's Islam? Again, we come back to the very same question. What does all of this have to do with Islam? Well, we talked about what the word meant, and then we talked about what the word Muslim meant. We talked about the word Allah. We found that Allah meant the name of the only God to worship. We talked about the prophets of Almighty God, and we even talked about their message, teaching people to worship only one God. We got into the subject of the books. We mentioned Torah, Zabur, Injil, and Quran. All of these came from the same God, Allah. And all of these carried the same message, that your worship is more than just your belief. You have to put it into practice. But why? Why is all of this together? What are we talking about here? Well, this is to help us solve a bigger problem, the purpose of life. A human being, regardless of who they are, or where they are, or what they do, will have this curiosity. They'll want to know, why am I here? How did I get here? And do I have a purpose? And if so, what is it? The only one who would really be able to answer that question would be the Creator himself. If there is a Creator, it would be up to him to tell us why we were created and what he expects from us and what this life is really about. Allah has shown the people from the time of Adam until right now, has shown the people what he wants from them. And it's a very simple thing. And that is that worship be for him alone without any partners. In fact, we know this life to be a test from Almighty God. That's why we're born, and that's why we die. Because there has to be a beginning and an end for us to be tested on. The next life, after this life, no one will ever die again. A bad person or a good person. Both are brought back, and they continue to live in the next life, either in good shape or not so good shape, depending on how they did on the test. So we're going to be talking about a test based on worship. The worship of the God of Abraham. That was what was taught by these prophets. And that the person who's doing this is a servant, a worshiper, a slave. After all, consider the word Islam. What does it mean? Surrender, submission, obedience, sincerity, and peace. That's definitely a servant, one who really worships. Now, along the way, we find that there are going to be some tests based on what's called rights and limits. There are rights. God has the first right of all, the right to be worshipped alone without partners. The rights of the prophets to be obeyed by their followers. But then there are limits that none should transgress. Just as you have rights, I have rights, women have rights, children have rights, but nobody's rights would exceed the rights of others to the extent that it would infringe or oppress others. And a very important part of Islam is to know that no one can go beyond their limits. Their limits, they must stay within. Otherwise, they're an oppressor. And look at what Allah has said about that. He tells us that he forbids himself to ever oppress, and he forbids us to oppress. So whoever is an oppressor is a bad guy. A very bad word in the Arabic language is one who does dhulm or oppression. Now let us think for a minute. We're talking about the one God, the Creator. This is the same Creator, the one that we know of from the Bible, that in 6 days he created all the heavens and the earth. And this is recorded in the Old and the New Testament, very well known to Jews and Christians. Similar for the Muslims, except there's an exception. He says that he's the one who created the heavens and earth. He said to Ayum, which means in 6 days. But he didn't rest on the seventh day. In fact, there's no mention of a seventh day. It just said he rose above his throne. And there he positioned himself until this very day and will remain there. Now, what about Adam and Eve? Is there somebody named Adam in the Bible? Yes. Did you know it's the exact pronunciation of the very first person according to the Arabic language? His name is also Adam. His wife, Hawa, or Eve as we call her in the English language, and he were both in paradise. And they had one simple test. Their test was, enjoy whatever you want in the paradise. Enjoy it as you like. Drink what you like, eat what you like, except one. Don't eat from this tree. One particular tree. Don't eat from this tree. So now that became their test. Now, as we know from the Bible, the Old and New Testament, and of course in the Quran, the same, Adam and Eve were in the paradise. And they were told, don't eat from this tree. Then who came along? Maybe you call him the devil, or Lucifer, Shaitan, Satan, a demon, or in Arabic, a jinn. There is a difference here, though, for the Muslims, because this guy is not a fallen angel. No, because angels are made from light, and they always obey. In this case, he was from the people that were made before humans. They're made from something called a smokeless fire. You don't see them, but they see you, and they exist today. They're called jinn. Our word genie, like the genie in the bottle, is coming from this Arabic word. You don't really see them, but they are there. Now, the angels always obey, but the jinn had the very first of all to do as they chose, because they have free choice. Jinn have free choice, but angels don't. Now, when God created Adam, God said, this is my best creation. I order the angels to bow down. The angels bowed down, but the jinn didn't, because he didn't have to bow if he didn't want to. He could choose to disobey, and that's exactly what he did. He disobeyed God, and that's what put him in a bad way. Because of his pride and arrogance, he refused to bow down, and that became his problem. And he then wants to challenge all human beings and try to tempt them to go his way, to disobey God. If they succumb to that, if they go for that, then they'll wind up in hell with him, because that's his last and final destination. So now we have a little bit of idea behind the temptation of the devil and what he's all about. So now he goes to Adam and Eve and tempts them to eat from the tree. They both ate, according to the Bible, according to the Quran. They both ate. But in the Quran, it's a little different, because we know that they both repented. And nobody is blaming one or the other. There's no guilt being thrown on the woman extra than the man. Adam did what he did. Eve did what she did. But the man does not blame her, nor does she have a curse on her or her descendancy. So the women are not guilty by the fact that Eve did anything, nor are the children born in guilt. That means babies are not born in an original sin. They're born innocent. Innocent as a newborn baby. So, what's the purpose of life? Again, it's a test. What is the worldly life? According to Islam, the devil tempts us. Let's take a look at the oldest of the books in the Bible. According to some of the scholars, is the book of Job. We find Job is also in the Quran. In Arabic, his name is Ayub. Whether you're a Jew, a Christian, or a Muslim, if you speak Arabic, you will call Job Ayub. Now, he lost his wealth, he lost his health, he lost his family. He had very serious trials and tribulations. Now, I want you to think about it. What did he do? He was tempted. He was tempted very much. Just curse God in